Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Hey traders, John Howell here. We're going to be looking at, obviously we did a bit of a market update today across the markets. I tell you what traders, oh my goodness, gold and silver, they're really starting to build a lot of power base behind them. So that's what I want to share with you in today's video when it comes to that. Also, I want to give you guys a bit of an update on the fear and greed index. I think it's something that we've talked about in the past, and I want to just share that with you. Just give you guys a bit of an update on what's happening through there. So let's actually start off with the good old stocky markup, and then we'll get over to the gold and silver and all that sort of stuff, down home country goodness. So start off with the looking at the indices. You can see there's actually really the indexes are pretty flat throughout the day. Nasdaq was down the worst, just over 1%. But the rest were like the Dow eked out a bit of a gain through here today. We could see that on the mining sector, gold mining stocks definitely had a very, very strong positive day, almost 3% on the day there. We had a nice little almost 1% gain on the metals, gold and silver. So looking at the Dow Jones right now, we can see that we're definitely flattening out through here, and this could be it's actually very dangerous territory right now for the Dow Jones. And you can see what's happening through here. Let me actually draw you a bit of a trend line through here. So what's happening here is the market ran down, came up, we flattened out, and we came down, did this. Now we're running up, now we're flattening out through here. Are we about to see something like this as well too? So a bit more of a pullback out of this level through here. So you can see we're starting to get the flattening out period through here. So it's going to be really interesting to see what actually happens through here, because we're at a bit of a do or die situation through here. We're coming into next week anyway, because it's like, do we continue to make a high low and run up, or what's going to happen through here? We are definitely below. You can see what's actually happened with my trend line here that I've drawn in, and this is the same trend line that I drew in last week. Last week, and I was saying that if we break below it, then that's going to be a very weak sign. But you can see what actually happened today. Today we ran up and we actually hit the level, hit that bottom of that trend line, and came back down as well too. Plus we also have probably something else going on through there. I would say if I take that off the screen, you can see what's actually happening through there. So that's actually that'll be that line that I just drew just then. That'll be like the momentum trend line, that if we stay below it, so we have the starter point here. If we stay below it here, if we stay below here, if we stay below it, then we're probably likely to continue. The shift in momentum to the upside would be a breaking above. So if we can get something like this, like a breaking above, then we're probably going to get something like this, and then we're probably going to continue up from there. So the big thing for me watching out next week is a breaking above that line, because short-term momentum is down right now for the last say week or so. So it's going to be really interesting to see what actually happens there. Same for the S&P 500. We had a very nice move up. We actually broke down, and now we're still in this overall pullback. So once again, if I draw my momentum trend line in for this pullback, and why I mean momentum, guys, is because you'll find a lot of the times that that there's a bit of a trend line that happens, right? So if we draw a trend line, say from here, and we draw it down like so, okay, we'd have to maybe even draw it down through there. You can see how it stayed below, stayed below, stayed below, stayed below, stayed below, stayed below. And when we start to get back above it, then that changed the short term, okay? And it could be just for a few days, short-term picture. Same thing for here, right? When we actually, you can see that from the lows, changed it short-term, so on and so forth. With same thing through here as well too, right? You can see when we stayed below, when we broke it, short-term change. Same thing through here as well too. You can see like that it's a short-term change in momentum. So now we're getting this sort of angle coming down through here. The S&P really needs to see something like this, come back above there, do something like that for this to start to change this short-term momentum here. So that's going to be really interesting to see what actually happens moving into next week. We are holding here, and you can see what's actually happening here on the hourly chart as well too. Drop down, a bit of a sideways range. So it's going to be really interesting to see whether we do get a bit more of a pullback. If we do get more of a pullback on that overall big picture, then we can see that we are getting a movement. This on Fibonacci level, then that sort of 4,000 level is definitely a level of major support in the markets there. So that's what I'm looking at through there when it comes to the S&P, and then also the Nasdaq as well too. You can see the same sort of thing, but the Nasdaq, let me actually take that off the screen there. But the Nasdaq, we don't really have, when we talk about like momentum trend line, that'll be the line through there. You can see that when I talk about momentum trend line, right, you can see how it actually held it all the way up through here, but once we got the breaking below, then the momentum the short-term momentum changed. And so that's the same thing I'm looking for there. We can take that off the screen now. And so now we're getting a bit of a pullback. So we do have a level of support that's coming all through here. So that's where it's actually having a lot of problems right now on the Nasdaq. If I go to the hourly chart, yeah, I'm not really getting much from there from the hourly chart, but this daily chart, we're getting a very, very strong pullback, a bit of a gap too as well too. So that's going to be really interesting to see what actually happens there. If we go from this low point to this high point, this is going to be the interesting point through here. This is like a bit of a do or die for the Nasdaq, because if we do continue down next week and we don't hold these levels, then we're probably going to challenge these. We're probably going to challenge a new low in the markets as well too. So that's what I'm seeing overall from there, from that perspective. So that's going to be really interesting to see what actually happens through there. Let's go look at the gold. So onto gold. Gold actually had a bit of an update today. Not really much, but it was a bit of an update on a short-term level basis. We can see that it did actually break out of this little sort of nice little sort of triangle pattern that's been in there for the last sort of couple of weeks. And so now we're just starting to slowly break out. So if that's, I'm not sure if that's a true breakout yet, because we definitely need to, I definitely would love to see it break above these highs through here, because that's that high point that we've just been stuck in for quite some time. So we really want to see a good true breakout above that 1960 for this thing to start to pick up momentum through here. The big thing I'm watching for is you can see on the 52 moving average that we are definitely we definitely now back towards the 52 moving average, which just simply means to me that we're not overbought, we're not oversold, we're at a neutral level, which is a really good place for the markets to be, because you'll see that whenever you get too far away from the moving averages or this moving average, it's telling you that we're either overbought right here or we're oversold, like these levels through here, and we tend to get these snapbacks towards the moving average. Same thing through here as well too. So that when we're close to the moving average like we are here, it just tells we're at a neutral level and we're not overbought or oversold in the markets there. Moving over now through to the good old silver market, and silver's actually, I believe silver's getting ready for a bit of a springboard here. It looks like it's quiet. It's a bit of a quiet period right now, but yeah, especially we could start to see when silver breaks out here, we could really start to see silver go, and silver could definitely start to make some really big moves, especially when we've been, you can see here, right, we've just been doing nothing now for quite some time. So that's a really interesting point to see what's going to happen there when it comes to the silver market there. Moving over now through to the mining sector. Mining stocks, let's go back to the daily charts, and you can see we're not breaking out yet. So I had my my main trend line for the GDXJ, which as you guys know is my baby, we're just still squeezing up into this level. As you can see through here, we bounced off it a few times, squeezing up. We're not getting the breakout yet, but we definitely did have a very nice update today. And the volume wasn't too much as well too, so it wasn't a lot of coming in yet, but we are definitely holding through here. And so once we do break above that 49, then we could start to see probably GDXJ go for a nice move. Same thing for the GDX itself. Is that we definitely had, I'm just looking at the trend lines that I can use. We're probably going to be using that through there. So that'll be the line that I use for there when it comes to the GDX. But again, we're definitely building up a lot of pressure through here. A lot of pressure. So it's going to be really interesting to see whether we do start to break out of this level here. That was that last high point that I had a lot of problems with, and with that at that level now as well too. So that's going to be really interesting to see what actually happens here. But once we do break above these levels through here, then we're probably going to race to these highs, which actually happened back in 2020. Moving over now through to the SIL as well too, and the SIL hasn't just it's still not doing much. We haven't broken above here. It looks like today we had a really nice up day, but you can see we're getting a lot of volatility through here. So we haven't really got a good clear breakout yet of what's going to happen through there. So that was the SIL. This is the SILJ, and the same sort of thing as well too, right? We're developing this sort of squeezing pattern through here, which is actually quite nice. Because if I let me actually bring up my 52 moving average and I squeeze this up, you can actually see the angle that's actually, or what's actually developing through here, right? We had a move up, and now we're developing this sideways range through here. So there's a high probability we're going to break out soon, and we're going to start to go for a nice move up. So if we can get a really nice breakout bar through here, then that's going to be really nice for the markets there. So as you can see, we're developing this, and it's, you could call it like a bull flag formation if you wanted to, but it's more like a pennant. But the way that I'm really looking at it is that we've had a strong move up, and now we're developing a bit of sideways, a bit of a resting phase, bit of a pullback. And so once we do start to break out again, we're now likely to go. So we had a very strong move up, so strong buyers, and this has been a weak selling period. So I say strong buyers, weak sellers, and then once we break out, we're likely to go through a strong buying period again, which could be awesome even for a short-term basis for me, looking at there. So there we go, guys. That's what I'm looking at there. Hope this helps you out, and I'll see you in the next video. Traders, I want to invite you to my webinar that I'm running today. And on this webinar, I'm going to share with you all the details to my #1 trading system for the last 17 years and how I only trade 1 hour per day. Plus, also going to be learning the 3 secrets that I had to master over the last 17 years to generate a really good income. If you go to johnsfreetraining.com, or there should be a link in the description, click on that. Go over there right now, register. If you are struggling with the trading right now, I promise you this is going to completely game change, because you're going to understand why you are going backwards and why you're losing money. And then I'm going to teach you exactly what the system I use that gets me a really high % win-loss ratio. So this is what I want you to do right now. Go to johnsfreetraining.com. Go over there, register for my webinar right now today, because you're going to absolutely love it. Or there should be a link in the description. And I look forward to seeing you on the webinar. So go to that right now, and I look forward to seeing you on my next webinar. Go to that right now. Go to johnsfreetraining.com. Go to that right now.